Hey guys. Yes, I've been working, but I'm playing hooky right now. Listen, one of the one of our gang was talking about Nehemiah, and so I said I'll go check that out, see what's going on in Nehemiah. She said something about him being some kind of he's rebuilding the gates, or well, he's rebuilding Jerusalem. Is what we find out in the story. But what's really interesting about this, and you have to do some back digging to find this out. But King Cyrus, this King Artaxerxes, which is in this story that we're talking about in Nehemiah, Nehemiah is the servant for him. He's the cupbearer. That means that he's the spiritual side of the King Artaxerxes. Okay, so the story would wind up being about King Artaxerxes because he's the messenger for the king. All right, and in the story, this was after the story of Israel being, if they don't keep the pact, then they're going to be scattered abroad, amongst the nations, and and otherwise it means that they're just going to be lost, because if they don't follow the law, they're no longer in tune with the Lord, and there they go, they're gone. So it was really their idea. It would be the individual's idea, or in this case, they were given only brick and straw, brick and broken straw, some kind of a mash to build the stones with. So they're not even given stones or anything. This is all they're getting. So the outside is telling them not to do a certain thing. Will you let my men go? This was the whole thing behind Moses, is that would you let us go out into the wilderness, just for 3 days to serve our God? And he says no, and then this happens, and God's pulling back and forth, making all this stuff happen. You have to see that it's a story. And it's always going to start off that there's going to have some kind of a conflict. And in this particular case, he is summoned up by the king, and the king says, "I've never seen you so sad before." I look over there, Jerusalem is in ruin. This is where David is buried. His father's grave and all this stuff, and we know it as being heaven. But the story still runs out in the number system, so this particular book is not all by itself. It is still a part of the rhythm is still the same. It sounds like it's told by another person, but at the same time it's following the same rhythm. I got where they were introducing. Number one is the idea of the state that they were in, that this is, we've given up, we're not doing the right thing, and we've been scattered and what have you, and then number two is him talking to the king, this idea that, hey, do you mind if I go, can I fix it, can I give me the papers and stuff like that to go and restore my homeland, or restore Jerusalem. And then it gets to three. So two is the idea of bringing two people together. So it's him and the king are talking about it, and the king says, "You have my blessings," right? And so then comes into chapter 3 is how do you join all three together, because that's the whole point of this. And that's as far as I've gotten on the story. I mean, it's a really big story. But I thought I would bust in real fast, because I haven't seen you in a bit, and tell you about chapter 3 is the rebuilding. The rebuilding, all right? Oh, and before we get on, I think I forgot about this. Artaxerxes and all these guys, they are Persian rulers. Ezra is the story that comes right before this. He's the one who brings the law to these people. King Cyrus is the one who's commanded to rebuild the temple for the Jews. And Artaxerxes is this guy who's going to be the one who enforces the law on Jerusalem. All right, all of these people are Ahura Mazdas. This is a Zoroastrian group or Ahura Mazda is a sky god. They just say God. God commanded him to do this, you know. They totally take over his story, but Zoroastrianism is a couple of thousand years or more before Christ. In fact, they are about this one. You wouldn't say that one probably morphed into the other, you know, in some way, you know, that you can't see that they're all mixed together, you know. Christian temples or Christians or all, no matter what, they took over other temples, and their foundations and some of their architecture and works are going to promote this particular faith, regardless. And you know, and what they do is we could take that saint, that saint, and change it into something else, like, you know, like they do in Santa Teresa, and they say, oh well, they got all this myriad of saints, they just renamed them, and you know, they're not allowed to have their, you know, idols, so you know, they just replace them with this, you know, in reality you'd find out, oh, damn, those are the same ones anyways, you know. I mean, if there was any kind of learning behind it, you know. But anyways, in the rebuilding of this, it's just so funny. But you know, at the end of chapter 2, he's in prayer. Please let me do this, you know, and he wants to go out, you know, and so what happens is the third is that it starts off about the high priest rose up with his brethren, the priests, and rebuilded the sheep gate. This is the very first gate. This is the chakra number 1. This is oh my God. The way it works out is it's the chakra system going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the last is 8 when it says, you know, but look, it goes like this. It's the sheep gate, which is, you know, this is where the sheep enter in, you know, to this business. All right. Fish gate is because you're going in for the truth. That's what fish means. That's 2. 3 is old gate, so 3 is this. It's, you know, the part of the two of those together, and so, you know, this is the meditation phase, and then there's the river that's going to divide everything. There's always the water between it, and so 4 is the valley gate, right? And 5 is the dung gate. Your skin's 5. This is where you put your refuse. It doesn't mean shit. It means where you toss the garbage. You know, the refuse is you're going to toss. Your skin is the sacrifice. All right, they only want what's inside of you. 6 is the gate of the fountain. The fountain gates. The 6th is, you know, this is when you're in the air. That's what fountain means. It's water to air. It's a combination of. This is where things start to change. 6, you know, it's the top of the ladder. At 7 becomes the horse gate, and it's just so interesting because that's, you know, the dum dum dum. That's these guys coming in. That's number 7, right? And when you get to the east gate, it means that you're keeping the way. You're keeping the way. If you're keeping all these gates, if you. And that's just so really cool about the way chapter 3 starts out, is it goes on and it goes on into all of those names. This one, the son of that one, the son of this one was the son of that one. Well, this one, who was an Ebonite, who was a bomb, and he was part of that. And this is bomb, but does a do, and this one there, and it's the pabalong, you know, and it just goes on. Let me see if I can do any of it. Even if I can do it. Merimoth, son of Urith, son of Kaz, who was part of Mishimum, son of Bercha, and son of Sdompun, Zadar, son of Baka. God, let me tell you, I looked up all those names. I looked them all up, all right? I know it looks kind of crazy, but I looked them all up. I found out what each one of those names mean, you know, in Hebrew, and I wrote them down in front of them. So everywhere there was a name being put on there was the name of what, you know, what it meant. What does that name mean? And what a beautiful little story comes out. All right. So let's see. it winds up being a progression down and around to it's this not down is the way I drew it, because I started off with 1 at the top and 7 at the bottom, right? And so that's the way I drew it, but in reality, the up is the 7 is up here. So but that's the way this goes. He was going through and restoring everything. He was, as he went, he brought so everywhere they said the gate, and then they had the timber, and they did the doors, and they did the locks, and they, and did the bars, Those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every time they kept doing this, 1, 2, they were killing the senses, and they had to do that 5 times. But anyways, all of those names, and it gets down here to 5. 5 is the body itself, who's supposed to be asleep at this time, because that's what this idea about meditation is. So 5, which represents the body, look at what 5 is. It's called the Tekoites. But their nobles put forth not their necks to the works of their Lord. And that's it. That's all it says. It says that the Tekoites did not put nothing forth but their necks or something. Do you understand? They're dead. They're gone. That's the part that's going to be going out the dung gate towards the end of this little story going on. But anyways, that's as far as I got. And, outside of drawing it and stuff like that, I also figured out, it said, at the beginning, the whole idea is the first 4 that comes in here, where there's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's talking about the worlds, and it's talking about where this was the intellect at this time. And let me see if I can tell you that, because I did do a quick rundown. The West needed befriending. He's trying to look for he's trying to be redemption or whatever, redeemed. And so this is how it starts off, with this mindset. So in the West, he wanted to be befriended. As the thorns are about our body, that's the South, all right? So you got to go under some kind of, pain, a letting out of something. And the North, from the North, which is our emotions, is Yahweh is my light. So it's actually a desire, all right? And E, which is the East, the spiritual side, there's bitterness. There's bitterness. This is what he has. That's what he's up against, all right? And this is what he is doing. This is what this whole point is doing, because it's done in 8. There's 4 across the top, and when you have the number 8, you have to split it in half, because that's a duality thing at this particular time. So what he has to do is, now what happens is the West, which is your the intellect says there's a son of oppression. The spirit, the S is a skin, is our lower our physical nature. Okay, is the South. Righteousness, trumpet. All right, because they're really talking about that you're the sacrifice. All right, and in which is the North, our emotional side, says God, a deliverer. Again, this is a particular thought, a particular desire. So it would be coming from A. A always is like, when people say it's coming from Magog, they're coming from the North, right? It's a red situation. And E, which is the eventual, would be a blessing. He's looking for a blessing. And it's really cool, because later on the worlds change, and it goes that the intellect was the new, what does it say? It trusts heaven in the Lord. This is what winds up the intellect side, the West side, winds up being trusting in heaven and the Lord, the word of the Lord. All right. The S side, which is our skin, or our physical side, had the name beside it was lamb, meant lamb. And remember, all of these names that I'm talking about, these were names, and this is what they meant in those particular corresponding spots. And so in the north, which would be the idea of your mind, you're speaking, it's the idea of talking. So that's the idea. Laughter is the name of Isaac. So these are things that are, more physical, and then you would wind up meaning that these are emotion things. So that would be the north. And of course, the east becomes just. All right. Everything is in. We're talking about those 4 different worlds, and even on here, that's where I got them from. Is the 4 on number 4 is about the 4 worlds. So that was just what I did as my practice. Merimoth, Ura, Kaz, Mishum, Bekanaka, Misjab, Zadar, and Bana, And of course, it's just the coolest stuff, man. But anyways, that's as far as I got. So I can only anticipate that when I go into reading about the 4th, all right, the 4 is going to be talking about the world. So his whole chapter is going to be about this world that is, in this case, he's being rebuilt. It should be beautiful. It should be something, but I don't know. I haven't read it yet. But you can look ahead and, so I'm predicting that it's all going to be about all these states of mind. But it'll still run through the rampant of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is just the way it works. The 5th, it just happens to be, number 5 just happens to be that one that talks about our skin, And over here we have 5 here. We have 5, which is number 14, right? And it's called the dung gate, all right? And it's talking about, that's number 5. That's 5 is the place where the refuse is thrown out, Hope you got that. That's pretty smart. That shows it's mechanically written. You have to understand that. I hope you have an ear for that. It is the coolest stuff on earth. And what it happens to be in this one here, the dung gate, this is where, this is right before the fountain, so this is the gate number 5, all right? That's is that the way it works? Yeah, 5, the dung gate. That shows this math in this, and I can't believe I got it, I can't believe I got it. It's the place where garbage and ash were removed from the temple. All right. Anyways, it's wonderful. That is just really cool. I just wanted to show you that, lend a little ear to that, so that never happened in this world. No, it didn't happen. That is so scripted, and so much other stories are going to be showing up in that. Look, it's like who is coming back to restore things? So far, Moses is coming back to restore things, huh? They're saying Cyrus. Cyrus was born. He fit this prophecy that was going to come in and rebuild the temple for these guys. Listen, there's a whole lot of crap going on. Once I've learned about about Brother Islam, and the Kabbalah. I mean, not the Kabbalah, the Quran. Listen, it's just like Cinderella's slipper. If it doesn't have this code in it, if it doesn't fit, it's not, if it doesn't fit, it's too tight, it ain't right. Do you understand that? And so, with that, I bid you guys a beautiful day, and I'm going to get on with mine, and I'll chat with you guys soon. I want to finish off the rest of that, Nehemiah, very interesting. We all have to do that in order. It's called the unclogging, when they say that the Jewish people have a hardened heart, this is what it means, that this guy is a servant to the king. He's the cupbearer. And that story about the cupbearer is, and I put something on, I don't think anyone has even really watched it, but it's about a beautiful vine in his dream growing up from the earth and splitting into three, and about the idea of pressing the grape ever so into the cup and then serving it to the master. It's the showing that there's an internal, natural way to serve the Lord. Everything else, there is no other. You're making it up. You're the baker. And so it's really just that. It's kind of simple. And once you get that kind of mindset on how to read it, and and when you hear about feasting and and what have you, you can start thinking how neatly that is written. And then when you hear it like that, it's written in your heart, and how beautiful. We're finally fulfilling the Lord's desires. We're finally filling our heart's desire. And very few people even want to do it. Ain't that something? But anyways, they ain't. I don't know what they're missing. Well, what am I missing? I'm still in the same world they are. That's the choice. I love you guys. I see you. I'll be back.